not a normal world, it's Taskmaster world, yay! This episode is quite different. Normally, I use OBS to edit these videos. To film these videos, sorry. But today, OBS was messing around with the camera. So if you watch it on YouTube, you've got good camera quality. Now, if at any point you see me looking down like this, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see me looking down. I'm looking at my notes for this episode. Now, first thought of the series. Wow, brilliant. I love this series, right? The cast are amazing. David, David, you'll know who I'm on about. I've got a list of the names of the people that are in it. So David Curious. Let's hear how you pronounce it, because let's hear, everyone. Yes, I'd never volume on. My bad. For you to hear. Here's how it's pronounced.
David Curious.
David Curious. Now, he is my favourite in this series so far. And I did this series, reviewing every episode for the UK version over on the third channel, The Weird Side. But today, and for the next 10 weeks, we'll be doing it over on here. So there won't be a podcast on any of the other channels for a while. Whilst we're doing this, because I don't want to bombard everyone with podcasts. Because I'm not a podcast man, I'm a video man. Recreating Taskmaster, International Taskmaster tasks will be returning. I asked you a lot over on the Reddit thing, over on the Taskmaster Reddit thing, and the Panel Show Reddit thing. So I've got a list of them now, so there'll be more coming, and there'll be more from this series. Now, let's begin with the prize task. Bring in the best green thing. So we've got David Curious with green screen, and then he decided to Photoshop himself one on Jeremy Wells' shoulder, and two whilst him swimming. And if I freeze at any point in this video, it's because something's wrong with my camera, but if you can hear me, that's the main point. So it's him swimming, photoshopped him swimming. Then Guy brought in a New Zealand politician from the Green Party. We're not going to go down the political route. Laura brought in a green M&M that was in the style of the Statue of Liberty. Matt brought in a recycling bin, a green one, and Ursula brought in something that's not family friendly enough for me to mention on this channel. It wasn't family friendly whatsoever. So if you've seen the episode, why are you watching this if you haven't? But if you've seen the episode, you'll understand what I mean. I do like to say before we continue, I got featured in an article this week. Now, I wasn't aware of this until another murder mystery detective show talked about it, and Taskmaster New Zealand was on the list, and my very first Taskmaster New Zealand video on this channel was featured within the list. Now, I do like to say this one. We tried to beat the record for these podcasts where it's just me talking to go more than 8 minutes. So all this talking about not the episode, but just things I forgot to mention at the beginning of the episode, is stretching it out. And then we have the intro, the outro, the podcast intro. So we have the intro of the YouTube channel, then the podcast intro, then the video, and then the outro, and then it all gets converted into audio, which is easy. So I can see the timer, which we're at 4 minutes now, but we want to get past 4 minutes. Now, let's get on to... So the point system was, Guy got 1, Laura got 2, David got 3, Matt got 4, and Ursula got T, which is 5. Now, I didn't think Ursula deserved 5, because it was unfamily friendly, and I didn't think she deserved it. And I agree with the rest of the scores. Now let's go to task 1. Knock over all the pins without leaving the caravan or asking Paul to knock them over. Like, Paul, could you go over there and knock them over? Boom, knock them over. You can't do that. Now, I don't know why I keep turning my phone off. Right, so Guy went first. Guy chucked it without it. So he read the task and he went, your time starts now, and he just chucked the ball, and it went whee. Speaking of Guy, and I will be able to tell you his last name. I did approach him when he got announced. Let's try and learn how to pronounce his name. Montgomery. Guy Montgomery. So I did reach out to him and ask him if I could interview him. So, if anyone's listening, so I want to interview anyone from Series 1 or Series 2. Tried to get a hold of Angela Dravid several times, but it doesn't seem to be happening. Guy Williams, none of them are easy to reach. Now, if Guy Montgomery is listening to this, or if anyone from the Taskmaster New Zealand team listening to this, because I know, because we interviewed Sam Smith, I knew he listened to one of the other episodes. So if anyone else is listening, I would like you to come onto the podcast so I can interview you. Fingers crossed it happens. Now it could happen. Who knows? Now, Guy decided to get an orange from within the caravan, which is what's thing with, I think, with all versions that have a caravan, they've all got a fruit bowl, which is the one constant in the show. And so then he gave the orange. I've just finished watching the episode. I just watched it just now. And I came here to film this. He had a orange, and he passed the orange to Paul, and so Paul had the orange, and so they played a game of American football. And I don't understand the rules, but I do understand the 10-foot when you're like going down and you have to chuck it from behind to the person behind you. I understand that far into the American football game. Now, I'm not a sportsman myself, so I don't understand any sports really. Guy did make Paul almost fall over, because he was like left, right, and he ran over to grab the ball and he almost fell over, which is always funny when the assistant gets tricked enough to almost fall over. It's hilarious. It makes me laugh. There's another boat where he's about to go again. So Guy Montgomery was about to go again, and then he actually hit the ball in the door frame of the caravan, which is hilarious. Oh, guys, we're nearly at the 8-minute mark, and we're nowhere near done yet. Woohoo! So Guy was fantastic, phenomenal in this task. I'll tell you who my favourite contestant is at the very end when we get to it, actually, because it's not that far in. This task is brilliant, and it's one of the ones I couldn't recreate because I don't have a caravan, but I could technically with a motorhome. I don't know. I could, but if you want me to recreate this task, leave it in the comment section down below, because I want to recreate tasks that aren't just from Taskmaster New Zealand, and not from the UK version, and not from the American version. I want some original ones from international version that is just New Zealand, so Norway, Spain, Denmark, Belgium. But I mean, we could see more versions popping up because of the popularity of this one. So who knows? Paul is allowed to pick the ball back up. Yes. Now I wrote earlier that he weren't allowed to help, but he is allowed to go and retrieve the ball because he's not allowed out the caravan. Then Guy made Paul lie down, so he could roll down the hill to like knock him over, whilst he went whee. This is something you don't get on the Taskmaster podcast. The host making the sound effects, because normally it's the main program doing it, and they've got the rights to the sound and videos and clips and bits and bobs. But because I'm a fan doing this, even though Alex Horn is at the very end of the videos telling everyone to subscribe, which you should, I still don't own any of the rights to any of the clips. And so Guy got 10 minutes and 17 seconds. Now, Matt Heath and Ursula, I'm not 100% sure on her last name. Ursula Carlson, that's it. Now, I want to listen to the radio show that Matt and Jeremy Wells do. So if anyone knows how to do that, because I think In Tune, which is a radio. I think that does global radio, but I'm not sure. I'll have to check that out at the end of this video so we learn if the way of listening to them tunes, you hear more of a dynamic on the radio to work out how they're going to be for the rest of the series. Now, Ursula was a bit more, I don't know, a bit more forward of things. She loved to argue, which is good. There wasn't. I think David was more of a Lee, where Lee's a little bit confused of what's going on from the first series. Now let's see what Matt and Ursula do, shall we? Matt and Ursula both blind. Well, Matt blindfolds Paul, and then Ursula just ties a chair around Paul, which looks funny, but it's like a deck chair. It looks funny, but it just still makes no sense whatsoever. Now, Ursula makes Paul jump like a bunny. These are just random things that happen within the episode. Let's check the time because we try and beat this record. So far, we're on 11 minutes and 16 seconds. Fantastic. That's because we did admin at the beginning of the episode. Matt and Ursula did a similar method they did. So Matt got 3 minutes and 1 second. Ursula got 8 minutes and 50 seconds. I didn't write the S on seconds. David and Laura. Now, if you ever saw my notes, which is on the Notes app, I could use my Taskmaster notebook, but I prefer the editableness. Because I don't always spell the names right, which is, I'm not as bothered if I don't do that, because you guys at home are listening to what I'm saying, rather than seeing my notes. You don't see them, because it's the podcast, obviously. But if you're watching this on YouTube, you still don't see my notes, because I wrote these down so I know what to say. So it doesn't really matter on the spelling, in my opinion. So David and Laura, they both wanted to drive a car. Now, so when I mean my drive a car, is what I mean is that they had the car towing. Now, something that was never mentioned in the episode. You can't leave the caravan. Laura went to the back of the caravan for weight distribution while they were driving, and they both got the pins moved towards them. But the issue facing us is David decided, are you ready for this? To get out the caravan, into the car, couldn't drive, so drove the car. Now, Jeremy Wells nor Paul mentioned this, but did anyone notice that the rule said you can't get out the car? Or what did they do? Get out the car! Get out the caravan, sorry. See, there's a fundamental error in that. No one picked it up. Normally someone mentions it, but no one picked it up. Now, if I keep freezing them for the YouTube viewers, I do apologise. I won't be able to edit this because the audio will just not sync properly. I might try and edit the video to make it more interesting. So there's a missed opportunity there. So when you think about it, when we get to it, the outcome of this episode is a little bit of a good reason, because if David would have won, I'm just saying David didn't win. If David would have won, it would have been a little bit contradictory, because he did mess up with his task, but no one picked it up. So I did, but no one else did. Well, I did just now, actually, really funnily. David said, nice. Laura sat at the back of the caravan, as I said, for weight distribution. David and Laura got Paul to move the pins closer to the caravan. So when the caravan moved the pins, when they drove the caravan, when the door was open, they were closer and they could chuck the ball, which I always thought the ball was an apple, but it's an actual bowling ball, and look, it seems like. David couldn't drive either, so he tried to drive it into a car park space car at the end of the task, but then almost drove into the fence. Now, they call it the Taskmaster house. I see it more of a ranch, because it's more of a New Zealand thing, because in America you have the mansion, in Finland you have the mansion. You need a ranch for New Zealand, or is it an Australian version, because I can see Adam Hills being the Taskmaster for the Australian version, and then we have Monty Don as the contestants. I think there's 5 of them in Monty Don. If you know, link this, tell me in the comment section down below what you think of an idea for a Australian version, or you could just have the Australian comedian come into the New Zealand version to like do like a mix, so you air like you do with Patriot Brain, where you air it on both sides, both countries. I almost dropped my phone there, so we didn't have any notes to go off. Now, David did it in 7 minutes 28 seconds. Laura did it in 10 minutes and 18 seconds. So after after task 1, so I didn't actually write down the scores for every task, but I did write the scores for when they showed up the scores currently for the episode. So after 1 task, the scores are, including the prize test, is Guy within last place with 3 points, Laura within second to last place with 3 points, David within third place with 7 points, Ursula within second place with 8 points, and Matt within first place with 9 points. Now let's go to task 2. Fly, you have 30 minutes. Now, we have to fly. Is there an issue with this task? Yes. David said very nice. Laura said, did you lose your wings? So Matt and Ursula went first. Matt and Ursula just tried to fly and then just hop into water that they kept saying was dirty water, but it wasn't. It wasn't. It was just lighting. I assume anyway. I would love to go to New Zealand one day. Because it'd be really nice to go to New Zealand. I've never actually been to New Zealand in my entire life. Now, where are we up to? So Matt, when he was setting everything up, one of his noodles, they call it noodles, flew into the water and then flew away. I don't know why Paul didn't try and stop it, but it was rather funny when Matt realised that they had to go and run after it. Ursula just walked into the water in the end. Matt tried to use a cycle to fly, but the bicycle fell into the water and he just walked in anyway. Matt ended up just using a wheelbarrow, and then they blamed Paul afterwards for the fault of his failure for the task. In a whole, it was a better task, better than a later task, task 3, better than task 3, but it was still an alright task. It was a unique one, but it was alright. It was really good, but it wasn't it's better than task 3. Task 3 was not that great. Now, I think this is why I love David in this episode. David had the best idea. He got a can of helium and decided to use the helium, making his voice higher for comedy value, which is what we like to see in Taskmaster contestants. And me film's about to die. Yes, this is about to die. And I'm going to pick it back up when we need it, which is what we like to see in them. And what he did is he printed out a picture of him flying. So he got a picture of him flying, attached loads of helium balloons to it, went outside and watched it fly away. That was the best of this task. This is why this task was alright, and this task made it amazing. David was fantastic in this episode. Now we've already mentioned David. Now let's go to Laura. Laura was awful in this task. Not because of anything to do with Laura herself, it's just because of the way she thought of doing it. Green screen, really rubbish green screen. I went, wow. Jeremy Wells picked up on the fact that she said, wow, too many times. Which I completely agree. Too many wow. Too many wows. You need to cut down on your limit of wows. Like Guy Williams in the first series, too much standing up. In this task, she said wow too many times, and it wasn't comedy value at all. It was the opposite of comedy value. It was under comedy value. Now let's go away from it for a second. But Guy Montgomery, first thing said, think we've set up some tarmac. Guy Montgomery had the best one in this task, second best actually. So it went David Correas and then Guy Montgomery, which I still need to listen to his podcast, Guy Montgomery's podcast, which I really need to listen to. Hopefully after listening to Matt and Jeremy Wells' radio show, which we'll discover how, if the tuning radio app allows me to listen to that at the end of the episode, so stay tuned for that. That's something you don't get on the main Taskmaster podcast, and that's something you don't get on this podcast ever, just this once, because I'm quite curious and I want to know now. And all he did was he used green screen, but he had a better shot at green screen than Laura. He did better green screen than Laura, far better than green screen. He attached some cardboard to him, flew off, and landed back at where the water area, the lake is. But he had a better looking green screen than Laura did. Laura's green screen wasn't the best. So then we went to task 3, brush Paul's teeth. This was the worst task in the episode. Ursula and Guy, Ursula said, do the admin at home, not here. Guy went, thanks Paul. At the end, Guy was quite good at this task. This was awful. This was awful. Wasn't the best task. It wasn't awful. It just wasn't the best task. It was like you didn't see any of them making the contraptions to actually brush Paul's teeth. It just didn't really work. And then David didn't do a very good job. David did it too quickly. Used a lot of wool, but did it too quickly. Now, well, to be fair, Laura did a good one. Laura got one of the crew members. She rang someone up and went, hello, could you just come over here? So it's one of the crew members, right? So she's on the phone, right? Can you hear me? 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 From further and further distance. Can you hear me? Right. Go brush his teeth, and then she kept relaying everything Paul said from the other end, which was clever. And it was the only thing that saved that task. So after 3 tasks, the score was in last place was Guy with 10. Laura was in second to last place with 11. Ursula was in third place with 11. Matt was in second place with 13. And David was in first place with 15. Now we go to the live task. Now they had to make a toilet roll tower. And then the one with the tallest tower was allowed to chuck the shoe at one other person's tower first. David just removed all the paper. Everyone else was building normal towers. So David came in last place with 39 centimetres. Ursula came in second to last place with 54 centimetres. Guy came in third place with 62 centimetres. Laura came in second place with 70 centimetres. And Matt came in first place with 71 centimetres. So he did it first. None of them hit any of the other towers with the shoe. Ursula got really close, but none of the others did. Matt went first, and then David was my favourite in this episode, and then finally Matt Heath won the episode. Now we're going to go into tune in radio, because Matt deserves to win the episode, because Matt was very good in the episode, and I'm quite glad that David came in second place, because David then wasn't, then it looked like they'd realised that he got out the caravan in the caravan task. Now, let's see. So you can listen to CBS and NBC radio, but can you listen to...
You are listening on TuneIn.
No, I'm not listening to TuneIn. Now, let's work out what Jeremy Wells' radio station's called. Now, to do that is you use what we like to call Google. Now, you're going to Google Jeremy Wells. Jeremy. If we spell Jeremy right, Jeremy Wells, right? And then you find out Jeremy Wells, right? He's also a singer, apparently. I did not know this. Jeremy Wells radio. Let's get to Google radio, right? Now we've got it. Jeremy Wells radio. Oh yeah, we have to type in radio show. Sorry, my bad. Radio show. Now that you've typed in radio show, now you've got the Matt and Jerry show on radio. What radio station are we on? Radio. It's one of the iHeartRadio things. So it is. Ooh, can we listen to it? Let's see. I think you need iHeartRadio. Or can we use, what's the radio station called? Radio Holkia. So now we have to, we can copy it from the URL to see if we can actually find it. Because it'd be quite interesting. Now, apparently we were listening to an advertisement, because you can get a subscription to this. But no, you can, oh, yes. Yes. Yes, you can find it, but you can't listen to it because it's no longer available, so they try and redirect you to a similar radio station. Who knows? Oh yeah, because you have to go premium to listen to it. Wow, how much is premium? Premium is $7.99 a month. Wow, and a 7-day free trial. Well, I might do the 7-day free trial to try and listen to Matt and Heath, the Matt and Jerry show, so I can listen to that and hear their dynamic. I'm assuming they run every morning, but it'll be different time zones, so I'd have to work out the New Zealand time zone with our time zone, so which I can do in the clock app. So hopefully I'll be able to tell you my thoughts of how the dynamic are going to last, and is Matt better on TV or radio? I'll be able to tell you that in the next episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you all next Wednesday. It's not a normal world. It's Taskmaster World. Yay! It's the Taskmaster World podcast.
Hello everyone, please subscribe to Taskmaster World.